Okay, today we have a pre-launch community update for everybody. We are just a couple of days away from the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds. It today is Saturday. Game comes out on Friday, so just under a week away. Let's get into these patch notes and see what they are cooking. First ups first is performance. As you know, a lot of people have been complaining about the way that the game looks, the way that the game runs. So hopefully that some of these performance issues or these patches will address that. They fixed a rendering bug in prioritizing frame rate and mode and improved in performance. Hopefully all of this, I'm not entirely sure. I think this is just the target frame rate that they want for these different resolutions on the different consoles, and also Steam. So hopefully, them adding this in and trying to fix some of the performance issues that people have been complaining about will be a big boost and a big win for the community in general. Next up, we have gameplay changes, adjustment of hit spot and sound effects, adjusting attacks to feel more weighty and impactful with a focus on big moves and finishers. Yeah, this is something that I noticed when I was playing the beta, and I've also seen a bunch of people talking about. Is that their attacks just don't really feel super big. They don't feel weighty. There's not that big sound effect that makes it that big oomph that you want your big hits and finishers to sound like, to make you feel good about hitting that button. So hopefully this will be a good quality of life. Mitigation of friendly fire. Friendly fire has already been mitigated for most weapons. The full version will also include further mitigation of friendly fire for upswinging hammer attacks. Players will also be able to use a shockproof jewel to nullify damage reactions. This is really good. Co-op in Monster Hunter Wilds is a core mechanic of the entire game, specifically how they're implementing it this time around in this version of Monster Hunter. And I think that the mitigation of friendly fire will be huge, huge quality of life when you're playing with your friends. Nothing feels worse than charging up an attack or being in the middle of an attack and somebody comes up and hits you with some ability that knocks you down or something like that. Adjustment of frequency of monster area movement, adjusting so that monsters move between different areas at a similar frequency to Monster Hunter World. Players will also be able to use pop-up cams and fast travel in the full version. Yeah, this is something that I also noticed when I was playing the beta, is that sometimes you're hunting a monster and he just leaves randomly. Like, it doesn't really make sense. They just leave. They leave when you first get there, or sometimes they won't leave at all. They'll just stay in the same spot. There really wasn't any rhyme or reason. Most of the time it was pretty normal behavior, but every once in a while you just got someone, they would run to a new spot, you'd follow them, you'd jump off your secret, you'd get like two attacks in and they literally just run away again. So hopefully this will be a good adjustment to the way that the game feels and the flow of every hunt. All right, let's get into the actual weapons. First, we have Insect Glaive. I'm not super familiar with Insect Glaive, but I will go over them. Adding Vaulting Dance to strengthen aerial action. Players can combo into a variety of aerial actions. After vaulting, aerial attacks power increases by 2 levels each time you vault. I think that one thing I've seen Insect Glaive players talk about is that it doesn't feel like an aerial weapon like it used to, specifically in World. I think in World it had much more emphasis on aerial combat, and I don't think that people have been feeling that in Wilds. So I think that this adjustment will hopefully lean into the aerial side of Insect Glaive, which is what I think it really shines in. It's kind of its niche, right? It's the aerial weapon, and I think it's a really cool niche and it's really unique. So hopefully this will get us back to its roots. Adding an offset effect at the beginning of Descending Slash, this is really cool. Before they added this, I don't think it had any of the new mechanics. Like, it obviously didn't have a perfect guard. I don't think it had another offset. So hopefully adding this will be a good counter move, a good counter measure into hunts, give it a little bit more utility when it's out there, and maybe put it more online with some of the other weapons. Orange Extract effect now also negates knockback while weapon is drawn. Red, white, orange extract effect now also mitigates wind pressure, tremors, and roars. This is pretty cool. I don't know what all of the extracts do exactly, but it seems like it's going to be giving it a little bit more utility. Negating knockbacks, negating roars and tremors, that's really, really strong. Most weapons have either a way or kind of like a pseudo way to deal with roars and tremors and stuff like that. So giving Insight Glaive that, again, same thing with like the offset, it just kind of brings it more in line with other weapons in my opinion. Next up, we have the Lance. Charge counter now allows guarding while charging and can be chained into from any other move. That's really cool. Um, I mean, Lance being able to guard, it's super important. Having a counter while guarding that you can chain from any other combo is super strong in my opinion. I'm not sure what else they had like that. I don't main Lance, but this seems really, really strong. Power Guard will now charge to higher levels more quickly when used to successfully defend against more powerful monster attacks. That's pretty cool. So after you, I'm assuming how it works is that after you guard or after you power guard a certain attack, depending on how strong that attack was, will determine how fast it charges to the next level of power guard, which is pretty interesting. Perfect guard and power guard can now be chained into a new move. It doesn't say what that new move is. It just says into a new move. I wonder what it is, if it's actually like a brand new move that we haven't even seen on beta, or if it's just like a new branch on the tree of combos. Next up, we have Switch Axe. Various adjustments made so that switching to sword mode after building the axe mode gauge feels more satisfying. Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. So if it's making the game more satisfying, it's making it higher quality of life. Perimeter improvements made to various moves, including full release slash, sure. And knockback is now negated when using full release slash. Awesome. Another outplay mechanic like they were adding to Insect Glaive. I think that is always good. Adding more skill, add more counterplay to these monsters is really cool. It raises the ceiling without necessarily adjusting the floor, which I think is a really good way of doing it. Rising Slash can now be used while guarding. This is really good for Sword and Shield, because the new Perfect Guard, you want to be guarding quite a bit. You're not always just playing, Strafe Simulator and Dodge Simulator on Sword and Shield with Perfect Guard. So being able to Rising Slash out of a Perfect Guard is pretty cool. Perimeter improvements to various attacks, especially normal attacks in Perfect Rush. This is a big one. There's been a lot of posts on Reddit and other social media, and personally, I play a lot of Sword and Shield. The range of Sword and Shield is pretty atrocious on the beta. Like, I mean, you can be basically in the monster's taint, and it literally just isn't even hitting at all. So hopefully this is a really good change for Sword and Shield. Improve the responsiveness of the mobile chop and side slash combo, as well as guard slash and perfect rush. Again, one of the big downsides of Sword and Shield is the animation commitment that some of the animations have. So being able to get in and out of those animations quicker with an improved responsiveness will be huge for the weapon as a whole. An improved evasion effectiveness of backstep and sliding swipe, huge again. Also, backstep as an evasive maneuver is really, really strong normally. So if they're improving it, is really good. And also sliding swipe is just I think it allows the weapon to feel more flowy, more fluid. As a whole, being able to slide around to attacks and backstepping attacks into different moves, I think is what makes Sword and Shield so strong and so fun to play, is that how fluid it feels to play normally. Other weapons, we have the bow, rebalancing the bow with increased attack power. So we got bow buffs, it looks like, but they're toning down tracer shots, which I believe tracer shots were the focus strike. And when targeting a monster with focus strike, multiple wounds are now locked onto one by one with a brief delay in between rather than all at once. This is something I noticed. You could actually open up a bunch of wounds and then hit all of them with your focus strike. That was super strong. it was really really good. So this just knocks down bow a little bit from where it was, which I think it was probably going to end up being one of, if not the strongest weapon. And now we have general wide range adjustment to skills and elemental values. This is just more balancing changes that we knew were coming. It looks fine. We knew that balancing changes were going to come, and they're going to continue to come, right? Obviously, the beta is actually on an older version of the game that we are not going to be playing on launch. So I'm not sure if these balancing changes are to beta or if they are to what they're currently playing in house. But either way, the balance doesn't really matter in a game like this, at least not that much. I think it'll be really good. If you liked the video, you can like, comment, and subscribe later.